So hello again, everyone. You're all very, very welcome, and thank you very much for joining. So today's Lunch and Learn session is being organised by the EU-CONEXUS Career Network. So my name's Rebecca. I'm the Senior Project Officer for the EU-CONEXUS Career Network. And for those of you not familiar with the Career Network, I'll very, very briefly summarise just what we do. We focus on four main areas. So we help in the development of job and internship career services for students through our online careers platform, Job Teaser. We are also involved in the implementation of job readiness training by organising online events for students. We also support staff members that are in the area of career development, but also the wider community. And this is where we exchange ideas of best practice, like our event today that we have. And this aims to provide the best support possible for our EU-CONEXUS students. And finally, the Career Network is leading the planning and development of a EU-CONEXUS alumni network as well. So bringing things back to why we're here today, I'm sure that at one point or another, many of us feel like there's not enough hours in the day, or perhaps we're trying to balance multiple projects with multiple deadlines. So we're very happy to be joined by Simona Klovaitė, whose name I pronounced terribly, sorry, Simona. We're going to explore key strategies to understand where our time goes, the consequences of poor time management, and how to plan our projects to avoid deadlines and avoid deadline clashes and reduce stress as well. So Simona is a shipbuilding project manager, a project management agency founder for Projectus Pro, and Efficient Learning e-platform founder as well. So just to note that today's event is being recorded and the recording will be shared afterwards. So if you have any questions, please submit them to Simona in the chat function. So thank you all very much for joining. And Simona, thank you for joining us today. And I'll now hand over to you.
Thank you for the really nice introduction. I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't performed online for such big, let's say, group of people, but nevertheless, we can begin. So today's topic is time management, and it is a critical skill in today's world. It's more than just scheduling tasks. It's about making intentional decision that could shape both professional success and our personal well-being. Efficient time management allows us to stay focused, to reduce stress, and maintain balance in the same way, making steady progress towards our goals. Whenever you are managing projects, studying, doing some major research, or trying to balance your work and personal life, time is the one resource that remains limited, and how we manage it, it makes all the difference. So let me give you a bit of the context. My background is in shipbuilding, as Rebecca mentioned before, where I had the privilege to manage large, complex projects. I worked mainly as a project manager, which involved overseeing construction of the ships, of course, ensuring timelines were met and keeping this huge mechanism under control. Early in my career, I realized that without strong project and time management system, a system that is actually put in use, not the one that looks good on a paper, even the most skilled teams can fall behind. My experience is working in whole Europe: Italy, France, Germany, Finland, Croatia, Norway, Romania, and many others. And I had to navigate technical projects, tight budgets, and multiple team members. And it taught me that effective planning and prioritizing time management is the key to the success. Also, I'm very proud to be back to Klovaitė University as a master degree student to continue building my knowledge in shipbuilding. And that's the reason why I'm having this lecture today, the time management. Without it, we risk burnout, missed deadlines, and chaos in general. Mastering time management leads to a higher productivity, which means we can accomplish more in less time. And that's the whole idea. And it's not just about the work, it's about reducing stress, finding balance, and creating systems that would allow us to enjoy our lives while being productive in the same way. I do believe that many of you have read this book, but if not, I totally recommend it. And the author, James Clear, of the book Atomic Habits says this: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And in this lecture, I'm going to share the tools, strategies, and methods that I found personally most effective. And I hope that they will help you in your journey to create your own time management system to take control of your time, both professionally and personally. So we can jump into the topic finally. So this is the ideal day formula. Time is our finite resource. We have to understand this. No matter who we are and what we do, we all have the same 24 hours each day. We cannot buy more of it. And once it's gone, there is no getting back. This is why time management is crucial, not just for getting things done, but for how we choose to live our lives. Every decision we make is important about where we spend our time. So practical way to look at this, it's through this formula. I don't know if many of you have seen this, but the idea is that we have 8 hours of work, we have 8 hours of sleep, and we have 8 hours of personal time. And in theory, it sounds very simple, balanced and fair, but in reality, many of us struggle to maintain this balance. Work can creep into personal time, and in this case, the rest gets sacrificed. Mastering the time management helps us stick closer to its balance, ensuring that we are not just productive, we are also living a healthy life. I do see the shift in the society, more people understanding that time management isn't about only professional life. It's skill that should be used also in our whole day. But what to do if I feel like I don't have enough time? So we have to find out where the time goes. So there are many ways that we are losing time, but let me share 3 most common ones. And one of them are inefficient meetings, of course. We all been in meetings that seem to drag on without an end. And we are not accomplishing anything in those meetings. Without clear agenda and objectives, meetings can be massive time wasters. When I was working still in the shipyards, we started to implement strict timeframes for meetings. 50 minutes for quick updates and 30 minutes for problem solving. Anything longer had to have justified purpose. And this simple change saved us countless amount of hours and kept the team on the focus. The second one is the lack of planning. This is another pitfall. Without a clear roadmap, a plan, we tend to drift from task to task without achieving anything meaningful. In shipbuilding, we had to follow highly detailed project plans, but even those from time to time do need constant updates. When I first started, I often found myself putting out fires because tasks were not planned with enough foresight. Once we start building in buffers and revisiting the plans regularly, not just leaving them on a table, we those last minute crises became less frequent. Ad hoc work will always kill your time. And the third one is the multitasking. Many of us believe that multitasking will help us to get more done, but all the research shows the opposite. Switching between tasks takes more time and decrease our focus. Personally, I used to jump between different projects thinking that I was being really efficient. But I had to realize that dedicated focus time to each task is the only way to keep on with the complex work, not jumping around and trying to do everything in the same time. While there is a theory that people can multitask, in reality, only the computers can do that, and we lose so much of our precious time if we jump between various tasks or projects, or we let ourselves to be distracted constantly, for example, by your mobile phone nearby. With this on the line, we will have 3 main topics here, which are tools for time management everyone should deploy, efficient project management, very simplified for daily use, nothing too fancy, and some bit about balancing our work and rest, some basic but very much needed advice is how to maintain healthy balance. Combining all the 3 topics, we will be able to solve the 3 pitfalls we just discussed. So, the tools. I'll start with my favorite one and maximum productivity tool there is. It's a calendar. One of the most effective tools for managing time effectively is Humble Calendar. It can be Google Calendar or it can be its twin Outlook Calendar, which many of you use. And it's simple yet powerful tool to organize your day, manage all your workload, and plan your projects. Everyone knows them, but what is the secret to successful usage? Time blocking is the one of the secrets that I would propose, and it's one of the methods that I found most useful in maintaining my focus. It involves dividing your day into distinct blocks of time, each dedicated to specific tasks or types of work. This prevents multitasking and ensures that your time is spent intentionally. My personal example would be that I would block off hours for tasks like reviewing technical specifications, budgeting, Teams meeting. The same principle can be applied to more day-to-day work, like blocking time for answering emails, working on research, or handling administrative duties. Even in personal life, blocking out time for exercise, family, and hobbies ensure that these activities don't get pushed aside. And many of you will only have blocks of your time for your meetings, of course, because they are planned in advance by other people. But idea is to include your daily tasks into it. And a method that I find especially helpful in structuring my week is the ideal week method. This is where you design your perfect week based on how do you want to spend your time, whenever it's for work, rest, or personal growth. The idea is to create like a template that aligns with your priorities and then use it as a guide for blocking time on your calendar. The ideal week method involves identifying your key activities, grouping them into categories like deep work, like family activities, meetings, rest. And for those activities, I would suggest that you create separate calendars because you can do that even in Outlook. You can have different calendars and then schedule your activities consistently through your week like this. For example, you might decide that your Monday mornings can be dedicated for meetings, then we go on with the project work, we have a lunch break. Tuesdays can be dedicated only for the project work. On Friday, we have week review and planning the next one. And one of the main advantages of this method is that it gives you visual overview of how you are spending your time. You can immediately see if one of your area, for example, a research, is dominating your schedule, or maybe you are not giving enough time, particularly for this research. And you can notice it immediately. And also it helps you to stick for the mentioned formula 888, because you can ensure that you balance your work, your rest, and your personal time. To make this method even more effective, you have to review your ideal week template regularly, every day. Adapt, modify what's going on in the real life. Just drag around those small little time blocks. What happened? Why you cannot perform under your ideal week template? Change it, and it's important to adjust it based on your changing priorities, because you can look back on your previous weeks and just to see how well or bad, I don't know, it went. Maybe one week you will need to put more focus on the research, while the next one will require more, I don't know, student face-to-face time, for example. And second thing, speaking about the tools, is automations. Automations doesn't always have to be complex workflow or advanced technology or very difficult apps. No. In fact, one of the simple ways to automate tasks is already available in your calendars. For instance, scheduling recurring tasks, it's also a form of automation. By setting recurring reminders for weekly meetings, daily check-ins, monthly reports, or I don't know, weekly Pilates class that you are going in, or maybe you have some one-on-one time with particular student, you can schedule it into your calendar as recurring tasks for however long do you need it. You are automating part of your time management system. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to write it down. It will be always in your calendar. This means that you don't have to manually manually input same tasks over and over and over again. They appear in your calendar at the right time without any extra effort from you. So that's also an automation. This is a small but effective step towards simplifying your workload. But speaking of something a little bit more complex, we have to speak about Zapier. And this is the more advanced automation tool. It's a powerful platform that connects various apps and automates a sync, like a workflow between them. The beauty of Zapier lies in its ability to act as glue between totally different software, and it allows you to automate some of the repetitive tasks and create seamless workflow across multiple platforms without needing any coding skills. Because, for example, if you have some different kind of software, sometimes you might find difficult to find integrations between them. So Zapier comes at its glue to help you to create this integration seamlessly. For example, in my current work, I use Zapier to automate tasks like adding new clients from web form that they fill out directly to my customer relationship management system. And then it sends out automated emails and then follow-up emails. Possibilities are endless because this software, Zapier, connects over 2,000 apps, and it includes all the powerful tools that you might use, including Microsoft. So what I can tell you about Microsoft. So just to grasp the knowledge of the possible automations that you can create with this. So if you are working with Microsoft apps like Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, you can automate workflow between those platforms, allowing you to create your own system. For example, we have, for examples here, we have email to task. Here, yes, email to task. The idea is that you turn important email that you receive in Outlook into task, into Microsoft to do, that is on the side of your Outlook. You don't have to lose any time because it's done automatically, and you don't lose this email somewhere deep down into your inbox. Another one would be file management example. You can automatically upload attachments that you receive to your Outlook inbox into specific folder in OneDrive or SharePoint, so you don't have to spend time organizing the documents. Another one is the Teams notifications. For example, if you are managing a project, you can set up a zap, this trigger it's called a zap, that will notify you in Microsoft Teams. So it will send you like a message in Microsoft Teams when there is a new file uploaded into your, let's say, project folder. So you don't have to keep going checking if the colleague uploaded this document, or you don't have to ask. You will receive an automated message about this. Also, another good example would be calendar updates, because some of you might use two calendars. One might be the Google Calendar and another will be Microsoft Outlook. You can create a sync, so when you add an event to Google Calendar, it will appear also into your Outlook calendar. So you don't have to keep a track of two different calendars. So Zapier essentially can take care of those small repetitive tasks that would otherwise eat away your day. Imagine receiving automated notification when the document is updated or uploaded. So it's like very easy to do, and it saves tons of time, because these automations might seem very small individually, but over the time they add up, and it will save you significant amount of hours each week. The real magic happens when you combine these smaller automations into the larger system. For example, when you are onboarding a new student, you can automate the entire process. For example, you receive their form filled out, then you send out an email to schedule a consultation. This consultation is added to your calendar automatically, and then since they reply to you with the email, system stores the document into the SharePoint, and you don't have to do anything. You just send out a primary email to the student, and that's done. So automation is the excellent way to save so much of your precious time, and I would recommend exploring Zapier possibilities and finding those little loops that you can integrate them. So moving on, project planning tools. We will talk, I would say, a lot about project planning. And when it's come to managing large, complex projects, whenever it's shipbuilding or launching a new business or a new product, it's setting up the right systems that is really essential. Efficient project planning tools can streamline this workflow, the process, reduce all the confusion, and save time in the long run. Everyone heard of the code words like Gantt charts or Kanban boards? What are they good for? If they are, of course they are. So for instance, in shipbuilding, we used highly detailed project tracking systems to monitor every stage of the project from procurement to delivery. But systems needs to be efficient. If they are complicated, overly complicated, they can waste time instead of saving it. The key to successful planning is to find the balance between detailed tracking and ease of use. In my agency work, I advocate for systems that are simple yet effective. For example, if you are running a small organization or want personal system, you might use Trello to track tasks or the deadlines. If you are a bigger organization, it's worth looking into software like ClickUp that I personally use and implement into my clients' companies, but also good solutions are Monday and Asana, also right. And for example, ClickUp will have all the fancy add-ons that every project manager would appreciate. These tools would allow you to visualize the progress of your projects, assign tasks to team members, and of course, to stay organized. But to not overcomplicate things, let's start with basics. At the beginning, I mentioned two tools or methods, Gantt charts and Kanban boards. So a bit about them because they are something everyone could and should employ. Gantt charts are one of the most widely used tools in the project management. They provide visual timeline for your entire project, showing each task's start and end dates, how tasks are connected or dependent on one another, and what needs to be completed at a certain stage. This makes Gantt charts incredibly useful for keeping track of deadlines and ensuring the project stays on schedule. For instance, my personal experience, Gantt charts were crucial for tracking progress across various stages of construction, from procurement to delivery. Visualizing each task on the timeline, I could see potential bottleneck and make adjustments to keep the project on the track. So Gantt charts are especially helpful when you also have a huge team, multiple team members working on different tasks that needs to be coordinated. If you are managing a project with a lot of moving parts, Gantt chart could allow you to quickly access whenever you are on time, what tasks are behind the schedule, and where you need to refocus your resources. So it gives you a huge level of clarity. The second one, Kanban boards. They are really flexible and also a visual tool for tracking progress and managing tasks in real time. A Kanban board is typically divided into columns. For example, like here we have to do, doing, and done. And each task is represented by a card, and that moves from one column to the next as it progresses. Fun thing with this one is that you can still do a physical one. That means you can set it up in your office. You cannot do the same thing with Gantt chart. Well, you can do that, but it's going to be big pain to do that. And of course, this can be also employed in your Microsoft Planner. These columns can be changed according to your project or organization. There is no point on fixating that it has to be to do, in progress, or done. Columns, those ones, can serve as weekdays, for example, to manage weekly overload. So Monday, Tuesday, months for bigger project timelines. So you can put in the tasks for each month, or it can be colleague's name. So each column represents one colleague and all the tasks are there. Kanban boards are excellent for projects that require ongoing, constant monitoring and frequent adjustments, such as daily updates, reporting, small project managing. In shipbuilding, while so it's going to be again my example. While with Gantt charts we tracked the overall timeline, Kanban boards were useful for managing day-to-day tasks, ensuring that smaller tasks didn't fall behind. So Gantt chart was for overview, and for daily management we used Kanban. So let's jump into effective project management. Managing a project efficiently isn't about completing tasks. It's about ensuring that each task is executed with precision, within the deadline, and with minimal resource waste. It's the triangle of the project management. In my experience, both in shipbuilding and in other areas, the most successful projects are those that are broken down into manageable steps, have clear deadlines, and are guided by well-run focused meetings. So we will dive into each of these areas. So breaking down to the manageable steps, clear timelines, and well-run focused meetings, because those ones are the components of the successful recipe. Large-scale projects can seem overwhelming when viewed as a whole. A key to managing them is breaking down them to smaller manageable steps. In shipbuilding, again, my example, we do not approach a project by thinking about building an entire ship at once. No. Instead, we divide the project into stages such as estimation and ordering, or otherwise contract stage, design, procurement, production, and delivery. Each stage is then broken down further into tasks like, for example, let's take delivery. We will have inspections, regulatory certification, handover to the client, and final sign-off. We will have few more major tasks from it, and then the major tasks itself will have their own tasks and subtasks. We go down like this to make a process tree. Yes, of course, it takes time, but today we have various tools like artificial intelligence that can help us with the basis, with the guidelines of outlining complex projects into small manageable steps. The goal is to have a project plan, something like a to-do list, but big detailed one, with the things and tasks that we need to complete on the way. But what are the next steps while breaking down the project like this? The next step would be the timelines. Once your project is broken down into manageable steps, then the critical aspect is setting clear deadlines and tracking progress. Deadlines, we know what deadlines are useful for. They create sense of urgency. Yes, we need them. Also, it's very easy to fail at estimating the start date and always to be on the run, taking out fires instead of working. Busy work is not smart work. One of the practical methods I use, and I do believe that everyone in shipbuilding use, is the reverse engineering. This means that starting with the end goal, which is the final sign-off here, starting with the end goal, we will walk backwards to identify the milestones that need to be achieved at a specific point in time. So let's say we have ship delivery that is planned advanced in the time. By reverse engineering, we can map out activities starting from the latest. Example is here. If the goal is to deliver the ship in 2028, April 1st, we can break that down into smaller components, such as handover to the client, regulatory certification, inspection. We don't have the deadlines here yet. So we go further and we break down the tasks like this. We have, going backward, we have post-delivery support agreements and final acceptance. Then we have warranty, documentation transfer, client walkthrough. Then we have safety clearance. All of those activities have its own duration. We broke down the tasks till the level where we can tell approximate duration of this task or project particularly. Here we have 2 week, 1 week, different types of durations. Since we have a project plan that we completed before, it's very easy to do such kind of reverse engineering tasks. We just have to allocate the time going from the last task to be completed moving backwards. And here we can add exact dates to our milestones and plan it accordingly. Because here we have 3 weeks, we can go backwards because always we do have the actual deadline, which is here, and we can go back and see we have March 10. Again, we have 4 more weeks. We go month back. We do know that we have to start these tasks here. And it goes back like this. And this project in particular, and it always happens in the shipbuilding, will have some major stages overlapping. Because, for example, by planning out the timeline that we did here, we can see that we will start working on that stage delivery while we are still in production. And it's only one of the possible examples. So by doing this, I can allocate the time and personnel onto the next project stage to do the delivery while still ongoing into production. And here's where the tools like Gantt charts come in play again. Gantt charts provide that needed visual timeline that allows you to see how the project is progressing against your deadline. So all of this should not be put in the format like this, but it could easily be done in Gantt chart. I'm lost a bit in my slides. Okay. So the next step is the meetings, because meetings are a crucial part of any project, but they also can be one of the biggest time wasters, as I said before, if they are not managed properly. I've been part of countless meetings, and some are productive, some are not. And over the time, I developed some strategies to make meetings shorter, more focused, and ultimately more efficient. So first one would be you have to have a clear agenda. Before any meeting, ensure that there is a clear agenda that outlines the topic to be discussed and decisions to be made and the time allocated for each topic. This keeps meeting focused and prevents from wandering off the track. If there is no agenda, I will not join that meeting. Time limits. So you have to set a strict time limit for the meeting. In ideal world, no longer than 30 minutes. As in the start I said, I like to use 15 minutes for quick updates, 30 minutes for problem solving. And this forces the discussion to stay on the topic. Longer meetings are not productive, I'm sorry. Also, participants only include the people who are directly involved in the topic being discussed. Simple as that. Another one is the use of the technology. You have to track and report your meeting, not to leave them in your notebook only. For that, you can use technology, so SharePoint works fine for this. And of course, the aftermath, action items and accountability. At the end of each meeting, you have to have action item plan that is assigned to specific individuals with deadlines attached. This ensures that everyone leaves meeting knowing exactly what they spoke about in the meeting and what their next steps are. By implementing these strategies, I was able to cut down meeting times, and this approach works across any industry. Whenever you are leading a small team or managing large project or research, well-organized, time-bound meetings will help to maintain this momentum and ensure that key decisions are made efficiently. And now that we have prepared ourselves for successful projects and selected great tools to manage our time, we can move on to the topic that is most important. I do think healthy balance between our work and personal life. And we often hear about importance of working hard, but the truth is that rest is just equally important for maintaining that high performance. Well-balanced schedule that includes time for rest will improve your focus, your creativity, your overall productivity. And you have to think of rest as an investment in your future productivity. By recharging, you are able to return to your work with renewed energy, recharge energy, and sharp focus. One way to approach this is sticking to the 888 formula that we discussed earlier, but a balanced approach to the rest involves not just sleep. You have to incorporate different types of rest into your life, and these include these ones. Physical rest, this is the most obvious form of the rest, getting enough sleep and physical relaxation. Another one is the mental rest. Throughout the day, our minds can become overworked with continuous focus and decision making. Mental rest would involve taking short breaks, like 5-minute breather between meetings, or I don't know, 5-minute short walk outside. Another one is sensory rest. We live in technology age, so we are constantly bombarded by screens and noise, and we are overstimulated. Stimulated. So sensory rest involves disconnecting from devices and reducing your screen time. Also, emotional rest. So this type of rest would be giving yourself the space to express emotions freely and recharge emotionally. So it could be journaling, talking to a friend, taking time for self-care activities. Social rest, of course, quality time with others might recharge you, so you don't have to forget to plan your time with friends, family, and loved ones. And creative rest. So if your work involves creativity, so it's really important to find moments of inspiration to refresh your mind, because creative rest should be something like spending time in nature, appreciating art, going out to museums, engaging in a hobby that is not related to your primary work. And incorporating this different types of rest into your life, you can ensure better holistic recovery to allow your body and mind to perform at the best. And this is the place where calendar with ideal week method comes in. We have to include these types of rest into our ideal week and then follow it. Otherwise, it can be only the nice wishes. Also, let's talk about avoiding the burnout. So I do believe that many of you have heard this method, and Rebecca already mentioned that she used this one. So one of the most effective techniques for avoiding a burnout, it's Pomodoro technique. This method breaks your workday into short, focused activities. Typically, it's 25 minutes of work, followed by a 5-minute break. And you have to repeat it 4 times. Then you can take a longer break, usually 30 minutes or so. The Pomodoro technique works because why it works? Because it forces you to take regular breaks, which helps you to maintain focus also, and prevents this mental fatigue that comes from working too long uninterrupted. So it's really flexible way to look at your work. And whenever you are managing a big project or just trying to get through your daily tasks, breaking your work into shorter, more focused intervals will help you to stay more focused, more productive. And this method is excellent for those who tend to multitask. And it's lifesaver for longer projects. Been there, done that, and keep using this every day. And also, I would recommend creating buffer zones into your schedule. This is a short blocks of time between big tasks or meetings that would allow for mental reset. Instead of jumping from one task to another, take a few minutes like a buffer to clear your mind, stretch, just go and drink some water. This will help you to avoid this feeling of rushed, and of course, that will allow your brain to process and recover. Finally, balancing your work and rest would require regular reflection and adjustment. I find helpful to assign time. For example, I do that monthly, but you can do that weekly to reflect on your work and rest balance. And of course, I add this time to my calendar. You have to ask yourself questions like, am I consistently feeling energized or drained at the end of the day? Is my work progressing smoothly, or am frequently hitting roadblocks due to fatigue? Have I allowed enough time for personal activities that help me to recharge? If you notice that your work is starting to overwhelm your rest time, it's important to make adjustments. Sometimes this means reworking, redoing, modifying your schedule to allow you more downtime. In the context of time management and project planning, having always improving mindset is really crucial. And in my own work, I always apply this philosophy whenever it's project management, time blocking, or automation. I regularly evaluate what's working and what isn't. I ask myself, is this system still serving me? Is this still working? And can I make it even more efficient? And this helped me to better manage my workflow, minimize all the wasted time, and focus on more high impact tasks, and of course find all the loopholes that I can find. And we are wrapping up, so let's summarize the key points from today's lecture. And time is finite resource, and mastering how to manage it effectively allows us to be more productive. And tools like time blocking, ideal week method, or setting clear priorities could help you to make most of your 24 hours that we all have. Of course, about the tools, we explored practical tools like Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, automation through Zapier, and project management methods like Gantt chart and Kanban boards. These tools, these methods will allow you to better track your progress, better work on your tasks, and to focus on the tasks that you really need to focus on, and to reduce the overwhelm. And of course, about the balance, it's the key to maintain, it's the key element of our life to maintain long-term balance and to find the better productivity. And we have to incorporate various types of the rest: physical, mental, emotional, and more. Some additional tips for the keen ones. Energy management is the topic that I didn't have much time to explore here, but the idea is to help yourself planning out works and according to your biological clock chronotype, to know which one you are and get some personal advice. You just have to scan QR code and you will be directed to the test. So I will give you seconds to do that. Or Rebecca can send you the link afterwards to it. And here is some not so fun statistics. Average screen time worldwide is almost 7 hours. The screenshot put it here, it's my own. So I will be very frank with this one. So from this time, spend time from the 7 hours average, on the average, we spend 3 hours and 39 minutes browsing on our mobile phones, and we pick up our phone every 6 minutes. But you don't have to be scared of this one, because you can check yours. Apple users can go just right now screen time, Android users digital well-being. You can analyze not only total screen time, but time spent on app categories or exact apps, and even how many times you pick up your phone, which are the apps that you open by the habit, the first apps, also which with notifications trigger you to pick it up. With this information, you can adjust your screen time. This is my solution. Just go there, check which apps are sending you the most triggers, notifications. You can turn it off, and maybe you will see some changes in your screen time. So, Q&A.
Super, Simona. Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. There's so much very, very useful information there. Really, really appreciate you. And you covered an awful lot too, which I really, really appreciate. Thank you so much. If people have questions, to pop them in the chat. I have a couple maybe that might get the ball rolling. Just a very quick one, the Zapier service that you mentioned, do you know, is that paid or is that a free service?
To test it out, you can still use the free plan. And for example, you can test out several automations. For the personal use, few automations, yes, it's free.
Okay.
Yeah, for the bigger organization needs, yes, you might need a plan, but it's not something that is really expensive.
Seems like worth an investment if it was, from an organizational point of view, because small cost now, in terms of like lack of productivity and the cost of that, I'd imagine it would outweigh.
Exactly. And I do see that in the recent half year, people are more and more interested in searching ways to automate this. So Zapier is on the right.
Yeah, I love the automation. I mean, I know we're not robots, but it's using technology and AI to mainstream, make that the repetitive tasks that do actually can take a lot of time. And I mean, you've kind of given me perspective. If you guys can build a ship, I can organize a meeting. I can make a meeting more efficient. So, it's I think its perspective is good. Just someone in the chat there, Triggers is another platform as well, another free platform. And then Angela says, fantastic presentation. Yeah, so another question here is, thank you for your presentation. You've mentioned some online tools. I'm sure there are many more of them. Yeah, my question is, what about the confidentiality and security of our data when we use such tools for professional and or personal projects?
Okay, that's really good question, and it always comes up when I work with government organizations. So, for example, ClickUp has its own security certificates onto it, and they sign all the required documents and security protocols to ensure that your data is not used anywhere, unless you want to include the artificial intelligence into it. Then it's not that much of the secure. What was the name of the most simple project management tool? For me, would be Trello, because it has all that you need. It has all the integration with the emailing. It has a very simple Kanban board style interface, and it's very easy and very interactive use. So I would recommend that if you are a small team. For example, I don't know, you can use Trello up to 20 people, something like this.
Brilliant. Something that it's maybe just more, you seem very knowledgeable, so I was like to test you with this one. You're probably familiar with Parkinson's law,
Yes.
which is if you the work that you pick will expand to fill the time that you allocate to it. And I find that sometimes I can underestimate how long it takes me to do something. Like I'll use the time blocking in the calendar and I'll say, oh yeah, it will only take me an hour to do something. And it ends up taking me like 5. And now all of a sudden my calendar is out of whack and I'm just like, oh, and everything goes in the bin. So do you have any advice, or is it maybe trial and error, or what are your thoughts about how to better estimate the length or the time that it's going to take to actually complete things?
Yes, of course. So one of the things, as you mentioned yourself, is to try to estimate it better. And to do that, you have to keep going down to the smallest tasks. For example, if your goal is to write a research, you will not start with only this task. You have to have a plan how you will do that. What would be the contents of it? How many research studies you have to read? All of this, you don't have to miss this. So when you do that, you will have better overview how many time you will need. And when you put into your calendar, you should put on those small tasks. My example would be, now I'm just doing I'm just thinking how to translate this lecture that I have, something about secure shipping, something like this. I'm lost in the translation between Lithuanian and English. So yes, and we have to do the lab research, and I haven't been studying for many years, so I just put in, it's gonna take me 4 hours. 8 hours later, I'm still there, and it's just because I didn't plan it out. I just started doing it, and that's it.
Yeah, so that's definitely.
So that would be a solution. Also, if you do use the time blocking, if time has passed and you haven't completed the task or you didn't reach the next ones, I like to move them to Sunday just to have them there. And then when my morning starts, I just replan it accordingly. So I do not delete those blocks. I keep them in the same view. And for example, if there is some tasks that I didn't complete this week, I will move them to the next one. So it also serves me like a to-do list, but it's like a digital one and on a calendar.
Okay, yeah. So if maybe if you're finding that the task is taking too long, maybe you haven't broken it down enough. So it's maybe to revisit and think about that, and then maybe to stick to the plan, but you're kind of reviewing and revising as well, depending on how your week or your day has been. Ajay, you have your hand up there. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks. That was just excellent, and definitely a harsh reality and a tough conversation I'm going to have it myself. But I thought the visual you put up of the calendar, because when I have my calendar, it's like I have this compulsion to fill every space in it, and I'm not booking in time to, to answer those emails. It's like I see the calendar and fill it with meetings, fill it with appointments. And it's so true. And then you're going between to try and multitask. And I thoroughly agree with you, multitasking, it doesn't really exist and it doesn't work. So
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
So, and I actually think too, the thing of even putting in, your recreational activities within reason is important, as well. And again, I wouldn't do that. And I suppose I have a shared calendar, so I don't go around with a diary. So if someone's looking for me, they can see maybe where I am. But there's advantages and disadvantages. So I think I have to be a lot more disciplined with it, So I now know, working with Rebecca, she's got all the hints and tips. So hopefully she'll project manage me.
No pressure,
So
yeah.
thanks a million. That was excellent. Really, really good.
Thank you. And I do believe that ideal week method will work tremendously for you. So you will have to test it out. If you are now filling up your calendar with various blocks of meetings and everything, so first in the morning on a Monday, just do the ideal week and see how it aligns with the meetings. And so from time to time, do look back to your week just to see how many time are spent across different categories of types of tasks. How many hours for meetings? How many hours for face on time appointments? All of those. But thank you.
Yeah, very very true. Are you happy, Simona, to share the slides with me afterwards? So just
Yes,
some people.
of course.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
super.
of course.
But
No
yeah,
problem.
fantastic.
It's made for you, so I can share it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's a good reference. Because I think there's so many, people things that people can try and say, yeah, that worked for me, or I like this one, or I don't like that one.
Okay.
Yeah, super. I'll just have another look at the comments. On another, someone says, so many great practical tips and interesting information. Thank you. On a lighter note, it is said that half of the human population is capable of multitasking. Doesn't this apply to project management? I don't know.
It's really interesting topic because you have to think of multitasking. Multitasking can be different. It can be different. For example, when you are driving a car, you are multitasking because you are checking all the mirrors, you are driving, so you are multitasking. For example, yes, you can also multitask, I don't know, listening to the audiobook while you do the laundry. That is fine. But you cannot multitask if you have too high focus needing tasks. For example, you are doing the research and on the same note you have to, I don't know, order something online or on the phone. You will lose the track of the focus. That's one thing. And there is I have to find where is this research, but there is the research done that every time that you cut your focus to get back on the same focus level, to remember everything exactly the way you have been doing, it requires you 23 minutes of your time. So that's a lot. And to multitask, you can multitask on this level if they are not contact. I don't know how to even explain, but it's not related. For example, if it's very related or didn't require a lot of brain power. If it requires a lot of brain power, you cannot do that. So that would be my answer.
To do with the cognitive load, like yeah, I mean, you can like you said, the driving and the listening to something, that's okay, but driving and sending an email, is not.
No,
they're just two different things.
Don't drive and text.
Don't do that.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I might just finish up with one final question. Was if people just want to take away maybe one or two things, to get started this afternoon, planning their day for tomorrow, what's maybe the one or two key things that you would recommend to get started?
I would say that there is two main, three.
Okay.
I will stop thinking unless I will mention 10. But one would be, please use the calendar. It might be the paper one. That's fine, but please use it because there are still many people going without anything. Another one would be if you have a difficult project that you don't know where to start from, please use reverse engineering. This is excellent method. It's been used in most complex projects and can be used to the smaller ones. This way you can identify the starting dates, and the starting dates are the most important ones because later on you will have to put out the fires, which requires a lot of mental power and everything. And the last one, the third one, is rest. You have to plan your rest the same way that you plan your work.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, even the reverse engineering, there's a task on for work back at 13, and I'm going to try that now with it because I'm stuck and procrastinating, and I hope that it will be yeah, it's worth a go, you know, it might help, you know. Yeah,
so.
fantastic. In the interest of time and being efficient with time, I might bring it to a close. Just some great feedback, just again from the comments and everything, just again fantastically practical, interesting, and useful. So we really appreciate it, Simona. And yeah, looking forward to maybe linking in with you again and seeing how people are going with their tips and the chrono, you know, the night owl and the lark and stuff.
Yes, the chronotype. Yes,
And yeah, the chronotype, that's very interesting. So it might even be interesting to have you back to talk about something like that. But for now we've given people lots of information, but hopefully empower them to go forward with things. So thank you so much, Simona, and thank you all to everyone for joining today. We'll circulate the recording and the slides afterwards as well. So yeah, take care, and off you go now with your more efficient time management, everybody. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.